Let's go! Another year in the books, boys. And we're coming at you strong from down under. I have the pleasure of being with two of the loveliest men on the planet. I got the incumbent champ with us here today, who somehow snaked his way all the way to a Super Bowl victory.
Depth, baby. Depth.
Gregory Fisher! And he was back there in the background shouting something about depth, some gay shit, I don't know. We'll figure it out later.
Depth, baby.
And then we also have a two-time champ with us. He's coming back again. He is one of the true champs. He's held the belt. His name is Joshua Rodriguez.
What's up? Hey, I like how Craig interrupted you and I didn't, you know. It's like we have an amateur on our hands over here.
Guess what? It breaks down even a little bit further, boys. Because past Craig, past Josh, the next champ was me. So we've got 3 back-to-back-to-back champs sitting here. Okay,
Hey, that's crazy to think about.
And if you think about it, is it a coincidence, or did 3 of the best people go, yo, let's make a podcast together so we could teach these other kids how to play? You know what I'm saying?
I don't think
Verbatim.
it's coincidence.
It's
Yeah.
verbatim, yeah.
It's pretty much we're pretty much the Illuminati of the Triple B boys. Is what
I
it
think
is.
so.
We're the cream, bro. We rise. We rise.
Exactly. Cream pies for everyone.
Cream
Great
pie.
guys
I
for
request you bring
everyone.
there.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, it's gonna be a great year. I know we're looking to try and up our game this year. And to even start it out, Josh, you went and did some stat digging. So go ahead and lead us away.
Yes, sir. So, well, first of all, I just want to say it's great to be back with you boys. This
Oh
is
fuck yeah, man.
You as
this
well.
feels good. I was super excited today. Today went by so slow because I was so excited. I even had to do yard work to pass time. Like, it was crazy. But, but no, so you know how every year we kind of like preach participation when it comes to like trades and waiver wire, you know, because we have people who gets to week 5, 6, 7, 8, you know, that start like missing waiver wire and don't respond to trades and stuff like that. So one of the stats that I kind of went through and looked at was, so ESPN, it tells you the past 3 years. You can look at your roster, end of year roster, and it shows that person on your team, if you traded for them, if you drafted them, if you picked them up via free agency and stuff. So I went through, and it was actually pretty interesting that each of the last 3 years, 5 of the 7 people who made the playoffs had 45% or less of their roster were people that they drafted.
Ooh.
Which was, I thought, was pretty crazy. And
Right.
And it looks like in almost all of them, the 3 people who missed were like 50% or higher in roster percentage of people that they drafted. So, you know, to me, and if you want to break it down even further, what was it? 4 of 6 of the people who participated in the championship game the last 3 years had 45% or less championship or people that they drafted on their roster. And it really should be 5 of 6, but Bren, when you won it, you had 47%. So you were just over it. But so like, I guess my point though is kind of like, you know, to me that's just kind of more incentive to be active with trade and waiver wire, because
Take some chances out there, boys.
Right, because especially with injury too, like, you know, that's going to be a huge thing every year. So that's a forcing hand too. But just in general, you should be trying to wheel and deal all year, pretty much.
Especially if you get an injury, I can see like you know, keeping, if you have to replace 1 or 2, you know, depending on how many people you got to replace on your roster. So if you got to replace 1 due to injury, they probably don't count your defense and your kicker, I'm assuming. So, or they count them, but you swap those all the time, depending, you know, what your roster looks like. So yeah, if you get injured or your players aren't panning out, you definitely got to look for some options.
Yeah,
sure.
definitely want to preach that activity. Definitely want to see people changing up their team names this year. Got some boys out there, we could call out that haven't changed their names up in forever or picture in forever.
Right.
So definitely would love to see some activity out there.
I think I found the best picture. I don't know how I got these tits on this ESPN website, but I got the hottest one, dude.
Your own tits or
Oh no, those would be illegal. No. Sarah Silverman in a red bra, man. It's like I request
please.
everyone find a thought and put them as their picture, please.
Ooh, okay. I can do that.
No
Easy
need-
money. So no, that was just one of them. That's what like I said, I just found it interesting and hopefully that allows people to, be more active with trades and free agency and all that stuff.
Sure.
But then the other thing I did, I went back and so we created rivalry week and rivals this year. So I went back and calculated everybody's records against their rivals. And so I thought I'd share that with you guys. So we'll start with the easiest one here. Nate and Barber. Since Barber has only been here 1 year, they are 1-1 against each other.
Ooh,
But Nate is 1-0 against him in the playoffs. So,
a big one.
yeah,
big-
the big one. The big
Big
one really
1-0.
counts. Yep. And then Shane and Mac. Shane is got that one pretty handed there. He's 8-4 against Mac and 1-0 in the playoffs against him as well.
Okay.
So and then Brent, you and Dan. Dan's got the leg up on you, 6-5.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
But you guys are tied in the playoffs actually, 1-1 against
Okay.
each other.
wow, very easy rivalry, dude. Very
Yeah,
even.
that one was even, and so was this Justin and Funk one. They're 6-6, so each have 6 wins, and they're
Wow.
1-1 in the playoffs against each other.
All
But
right.
funk chips, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. I don't even want to say this next one because it's pretty embarrassing for me.
Hey, what's going on with that record over there, bro?
Craig, I hate you so much. I hope those. Never mind. 9-4. You're 9-4 against me, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
And 1-0 in the playoffs, obviously, with our only matchup being this past year.
What
Now
I
that's going all the way back to the Dino days, right?
Well, that's going back as far as this league is recorded, which is I think
Okay.
7 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, yeah, I think the first year of this, when we started with this one, it was non PPR. It was standard. So
Yep.
Okay.
you got no points per reception for that one. So that was and then I think that one had Rami was in it too.
At one point, Rami was in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the year Rami was in it. So but yeah, no, so I just thought that would be interesting to share with everybody, give everybody some more trash talking to each other.
Okay.
So I'm basically Alabama, is what you're saying. That's cool.
I really didn't want to share that with you because of this.
At least we're like
Like,
the SEC, Josh. You know what I'm saying? We're like the SEC. Come on.
well,
So
the crazy thing was, Craig, was we're actually pretty even, except for I had my 2 bad years. Where the one I went like 2-11, and then the other one I was like 4-8 or whatever. And you just swept me under the rug in those years. Like that's where the difference came. Otherwise, we're pretty much even. Like I was so mad at myself. I just kept putting notches next to your name, and I hated myself every time.
hey, man, we got a long way to go, but I mean, you got a lot of ground to cover, Josh. Got a lot of ground.
Yeah,
Right.
I guess I'll just have to sweep you.
That would be out of character, but good luck.
Yeah,
I
fuck
wish
you.
the best.
Don't forget our bet. Don't forget our
What
bet.
was our double down on that, right? What was our bet? We didn't double down. We double or nothing. What was the double or nothing?
Yeah, it was double or nothing. You said you would sweep me this year.
Oh,
But I
Lord.
wouldn't.
Yeah, easy cupcakes, bro. I'm going to get 4 cupcakes.
Yeah, okay, mister. Oh, I'm going to face Josh 3 times. I can't do that.
Bro, let's be real. Dan fucked that schedule up. Excuse my French, but like that
Uh-huh.
schedule was all muffed. I
No,
didn't
what you
want to.
did is you pulled a Dan and was like, oh, that gives me more chances to not win my bet, so I'm going to lower that. That's what you did.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, why not? But also, I just want to make sure it was fair, and I respect
No, I don't.
the work Dan put in to get that figured out. So
Right, yeah, no, yeah, shout out to Dan for doing that because that couldn't have been easy
no,
for sure. But yeah, so that was those stats, and I think now we should probably talk about the draft.
whoo,
Okay. Let's get into it.
I
I
think
mean,
first we should before we get into our rankings or anything, I think we should just talk about the draft in general for a minute.
Sure.
You know,
What were
like,
your thoughts on it?
well, I was just gonna say, like, I love that you threw that wrench in at number 2, Bren, and to me that was awesome.
You
You know,
like
like,
that, huh?
yeah, I did because, like I said, I was just so glad that the draft wasn't like mundane.
Yeah.
Went chalk and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I totally understand why you went Mixon. Like, I wouldn't have done it, but I get why you did it,
Yeah.
and it was awesome, and it really did shake up the rest of the draft, and it was just crazy
Yeah,
seeing the draft.
we were talking about it a little bit yesterday, and yeah, it just kind of, to me, there were certain upsides to it that I just couldn't ignore, and something about this draft that I kind of was telling myself was pick the people I want. Just because I
Hmm.
might have to reach doesn't mean I shouldn't pick the guy that I want. It just, it makes more sense to me to be happy with my team, and then if I fail, I fail, versus going, oh, I chose the best ADP guy, why didn't I win?
Well, I
you know?
kind of feel like you got both of those. You got people you wanted and really good ADP and people,
Well,
some
yeah, but like, so
steals.
like, for instance, just looking at the Eckler ADP versus the Mixon one. The Mixon
Oh
one
yeah, yeah,
was closer to like 12, and the Eckler one was like 5. So it's like pretty big jump, but I still felt like it was totally okay to make that leap. So
yeah. Craig.
yeah, no, dude, that was I would say top 2 draft. That was a lot of fun. Between the wrenches thrown in like Bren, there
Mhm.
was a multitude of people who picked what I would consider to be odd picks in my personal opinion, but that's what makes it fun. That's why drafting with 10 different people with 10 different ways of drafting is such a great, you can prepare for it all you want, but at the end of the day, it's always different. There's always someone sitting there you didn't think was going to sit there because someone took someone that you didn't think was going
What's
at it
what's
first.
one that jumped off the board to you? Is there
Yeah,
one?
that's a
So
good
yeah, I mean, you
question.
threw the wrench in it right away with Mixon. Like I was
Oh,
really upset. I thought I was going to be looking at Mixon further down the line. That kind of hurt me. Um, I mean, same with your pick with your tight end. Really threw me off.
okay.
Because I thought it was a really early pick for him with who was on the board.
It's
But it's you picked who you liked and you picked who
Yeah,
you
yeah.
wanted.
It's
That's how you drafted, and that's great. I'm really happy with the team I got, but at the end of the day, there was a lot of sniping going on, which was hilarious. I don't
oh
know.
yeah.
my god, dude.
I sniped Bren twice. Everyone got sniped. There's several people who got sniped several times.
I
But
got sniped on like 7 quarterbacks. It pissed me off.
oh, I bet. Yeah, no. So it was an extremely competitive. When we go through these rankings, it's essentially in sections of 3 different tiers. In my opinion, it's about 3 different tiers of teams. And yeah, no, it was a hell of a year. I couldn't be happier with what happened for everybody, man.
Yeah.
Good time.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
driving me crazy, like watching because I was doing it on my computer, so I had a pretty good like layout, and so like I'm watching the bottom right hand corner to like see picks pop up, but at the same time in the top left hand corner watching the clock count down.
Yeah.
Like I'm like pick, because I want to get to my pick,
yeah.
and then someone snags the guy you want, and you're ready to
Yeah,
lose
and
your mind.
Justin wanted to watch the world burn with every single time
Oh,
taking the full
every
allotted
time.
time.
The boy knows
Unreal.
addicts. He's great. He's great.
Yeah.
He was killing it. I'm glad. Every year I'm like, I need like 3 minutes to pick. I'm glad every year we do it. That it's only like a minute 30, minute 25. That's a sweet spot.
Right. It's really, yeah, because when you get down to it, you don't really need that long. Like,
Because dude, there was
unless you're funk.
right. Unless you're getting like a handy in the
Poor
back. I'm
Punk.
pretty sure he was having sex in the background and just coming back real quick.
Dude, there's a reason why his ass was always out of the camera
Right.
range, dude. That thing was getting
And there's a
punished.
reason he was shirtless during most of that too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes. Oh yeah. You don't
Got
want to
one
get
of
lube
them
all over your clothes,
them
dude.
girls.
But yeah, no. But speaking of the draft, though, we got some post-draft power rankings for all of us, right?
Yeah. Yep. I did
Heck
mine.
yeah.
And so what we decided to do this year is we're gonna reveal them. So all three of us are gonna give our 10th person. We'll chat about it, and then we'll just go up from there. 10, 9, 8, and we'll just kind of compare it like that.
Yeah, and then
So
just to show a little variation, last year we did it more on averages. This year
right.
we're doing more of just a straight up breakdown, just
Yeah,
to kind of see
exactly.
it go.
Last year I had you guys send me it before the podcast, and then I kind of
Right.
averaged out where everyone was between the three of us, and that's how we came up with that
Right,
power
so there could be
ranking.
some real shockers here. You
Right.
know what I mean?
So all right, let's get that started. So we'll go, Bren, or I'll start. I'll start with my 10th person. So, oh, by
Sure.
the way, if you guys hear clicking, it's because I'm in my Excel sheet and I have to write down. I'm keeping track of who you guys put, and then that
Okay.
way,
Fine.
at the end of the year, we can go back and see
Yeah.
what's going on. So,
And I'm
so
clicking
my
I just put my pen down, so I'm trying not to click my pen. I'm sorry.
dude, that's hilarious because before we started, Bren, didn't I say that? I was clicking a
Yeah.
pen and I was like, I gotta put this pen
Got
away, otherwise you'll hear clicking the whole time. But so my 10th is Mac. Um, and one of the biggest reasons I have Mac at 10 is solely because he's relying on two Bears people in his starting lineup.
True.
Um,
That's a
when
against them.
Right, and when we talked to him on Sunday, when we went out to eat after golf, I understood why he made the pick. But like I said, to me, that's just a lot of faith in an offense that you don't know how good they're going to be. So that's one of the only reasons. And two, just to throw a disclaimer out there, just so everybody knows, like obviously these are our rankings. Like obviously you're probably going to disagree, which is fine. And everybody is really close. So like it's minuscule difference on why people are as low or high as they are. So, but anyways, Craig, who's your 10th?
So just for a quick breakdown of how I decided it, I
Yes.
essentially looked at each team and I for each player I put where I counted their ceiling and their floor essentially. But when I did my Craig math, which I'm not going to explain to you guys, I'll have to figure it out later. I just counted the ceiling on each player. So, and that's where I valued them. So obviously, I might value Kyler Murray as a top 5 quarterback.
I'm going to need to hear that Craig formula breakdown right now.
No, full
If
formula.
Watson is allowed to
I'm not going
fuck
to do
up.
it. No, you're just going to have to suffer. Unfortunately, there were some numbers I crunched and I pulled out some averages. And like I said, and at the start of the third tier, number 10, who came at the, in my opinion, has some of the worst players. Is unfortunately, Brand is you. I'm sorry.
Oh my god. So according to Craig Apocalypse Math, dude, I'm
I will
fucking
just
last.
say,
Okay.
Okay.
I quit.
my big reasons is J.K. Dobbins is slightly unproven. I know he's a talented guy, but he's been injured for like 2 years, so
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of a question mark. I don't think Deebo Samuel will ever have a year like he had last year, so I think he's going to fall back a lot more. CeeDee Lamb, I don't value probably as highly as you do, and Kyle Pitts, I think, is a vanilla tight end. So all those tied into a reasonable higher score for you.
Wow.
Also, I didn't count kickers and defenses unless like you had a
Ew,
plug and play defense, in my opinion.
Well,
fair.
good thing I haven't given my pick. Hold on, I gotta make a change.
But Brent, you had the highest average at 72.5. So you are in the third tier, highest echelon, 72.5.
I don't even
What?
know what that means.
I know. I don't know what that means either. It doesn't sound good though if you're 10.
But exactly, I came in last place.
The average score, it's your score. It's your score. So think of it as a Madden score, but it's golf. You want to be lower. You know what I'm saying?
So, Brent, think of it like this: like you had sex. It was with a guy, but you had sex, so it's
So
good.
that's that.
Yeah. Fuck,
So yes,
dude.
between those big things, those gleaming things, in my opinion, Brent, I notched you a little higher. Still great quarterback. Joe Mixon's great, but
All right.
Brent, who's your 10? Well, and two, how did you come up with your formula?
Mine
Your
was much easier than Craig's.
yeah,
Involved
that's fair.
no math. Mine just came down to be the bitchiest bitch of the bitchiest bitches, dude, which happens to be Dan.
You didn't even have to say it. I already had it in there.
Terrible running backs. Terrible. They're just brutal. And then he's got so many extra wide receivers, he's going to have to trade them to get running backs. Hopefully that's his game plan. Otherwise, he's in for a rough year.
Fair.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean my system is very much like Brent's. I kind of also took in some upside. I didn't want to project too much forward just because it's so hard, and like that stat in the beginning said, like half the people on these teams won't even be on the team in
Right.
6 weeks or whatever. So kind of the people that I felt like would be relevant, I projected them out further, but also like who's good now, kind of. I factored both of those things in. So my number 9 is Craig Gree.
Aw.
You're not 10 though, so there's not total bias in there. But no, I just I have a little. Your wide receiver situation is lackluster, to be frank. McLaurin's he's a fine pick. Just how much do you trust Carson Wentz? He couldn't really do too much with Michael Pittman last year, and I feel like McLaurin's the same type of player, so I don't know how well those two will do. And then, DK Metcalf, we talked about it at the draft. He's boom or bust. He can make me eat my words, but at the same time, I don't think he'll be a consistent starter. And then just, the core of your team is going to be your running backs. And, Zeke, I'm not as high on Zeke as you are. I feel like with the offensive line being way worse than the last couple of years and the emergence of Pollard, that he's not going to be. I mean, he'll be an okay running back, but I just don't see him having much upside. I think Najee, he kind of hit his ceiling last year. Once again, don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying he's going to be a bust per se. I just don't know if he'll be. I wouldn't be shocked if he was like RB 15 instead of RB like 5 or 6. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And stuff. So kind of those factors. I just felt like your team had a lot less upside necessarily, and that's part of the reason you're at 9. So,
That's
Gregory,
fair.
who's
That's
your
fair.
9th?
Man, I just want to scream and argue with you. Let's see. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm going to say this right now, Josh. You said the exact same thing last year. My receivers are lackluster.
I know. Well, it's funny because I'm pretty sure you had Brent in the bottom too last year. So
I did.
So pretty much you're just saying Brent sucks at drafting.
I think Bren was 10th last year. I think my projection was kind of spot on. What are you talking about? All right, for my 9th, I have Barber. Matt Barber. Mainly for the reasons, great quarterbacks, Swift. It's a great running back, but I'm probably not top 5, probably top 10. ETN's unproven. Depending on what happens with Robinson, everyone's saying ETN's going to take over, and I would like to see it. That'd be cool if that happens. Ceiling's very high, but if Robinson stays relatively healthy and they're split in the backfield, we could see what happens. Tyreek Hill, same thing, great receiver. Don't know if he's an elite receiver. I just don't think he's going to produce as much in Miami, especially isn't Waddle still in Miami, right?
Right, yeah, you still got Waddle. You don't know what Tua is now, and you don't know how they're going to call that offense,
Right.
So
still an elite
that's
receiver,
fair.
but I think he's going to fall from grace as far as not being in that top 5 area, probably top 10. Hunter Renfrow, it is such a clustered offense right now. Especially adding the mix that who knows what's going to happen. Great receiver, PPR, who knows? I still place him around a top 15, top 20. He's not going to be the difference maker most weeks. Mark Andrews, top 5, obviously. But same thing with Jacobs. If he stays healthy, his ceiling could be much higher, but I think standard, I don't think he's played a full year in forever, but if he does, we'll see what happens. But I just don't have a lot of faith in Jacobs, Renfrow.
Right.
Also, team. Let's be real. This happens every year. So, obviously, 2 positions that could benefit from PPR. But, yeah, just again, like ETN's unproven, could be a big hit, could not be. Josh Allen obviously could be like the top quarterback, but that, with I ranked him number 9. his rating on the Craig math scale got 72.14. So Brent, he's just like 0.4 under you. Very close.
Brent, you suck.
Yeah.
Such a cocksucker, dude. He's just 0.4 better than you, so. But
I mean,
he's
he's got
still better
Dylan,
than you.
but I didn't count them. But I mean, he does have some decent. I didn't count anyone's bench, but you know.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Brent,
you didn't count bench while doing this.
Oh, see, I did. I counted the bench for the most part in it
Well,
too.
so
That's
that's interesting.
I took it into consideration, but again, your
Okay.
bench players are going to be boom or bust, and if it's before the season started, so if, I can't say if all those players go off, right? So mine are basically based off like your starting, 6 or 7 players on your team that are pretty much people you drafted to be where they're going to stay.
So it's just more heavily weighted towards the starters.
100%. Yeah.
Okay,
Dylan,
that's fair. Yeah,
Dylan
that's
and
fair.
Thielen take off, but those are like anything that's a question mark. It's like Travis Etienne. It's unproven. It hurts. It hurts the score for your team.
Sure.
Because I mean, who knows what could happen? It could be
right.
For one. Who fucking knows? But again, it's more about what we know and what we think is going to happen. So, in my opinion,
Right. All right, Brian. Who's your 9?
So my number 9 is Funk, and the reason why I put him down there was because of the bench. Was because I feel like if anybody gets hurt out of his top 5 guys, his team dramatically takes a drop, and so that's my worry for him. Whereas maybe Jerry Jeudy and Chase Edmonds are solid, kind of like second guys, but I don't feel that way, so I've got him at number 9.
Yeah, and I mean, that's fair. I mean, I like, in the ways that's what this is all about. It's all about your evaluation of the players.
Yeah.
So, my 8 is Justin. And 2, if anybody has any questions, well, mainly you two about. I have the draft all planned out like Craig did last year. I have it all out. So if you have any questions, just let me know and I'll look it up real quick. But so Justin's my 8. His first 3 picks are pretty solid in Cook, Diggs, and Moore. I don't really have any qualms with that. Jalen, kind of like what Craig was saying about Tua. He was really great last year, but now that he has Tua there,
Tyreek.
I'm sorry, Tyreek. Thank you. Now that he has Tyreek there, is he going to be the same player? Because last year his thing was a lot of volume, and is he going to get that much volume? And who knows? The volume might go down, but the efficiency might go up.
You could have a Mike Evans, Chris Godwin situation.
Right, exactly. Where he might not, like, even if he's like a top 20 or a top 20 guy, so, wide receiver 2, that's fine for Justin, but I think taking him in the 4th round, if he's anything less than a wide receiver 2, that's kind of a bust. And then I also didn't like Breece Hall's his RB2. Breece Hall is not
unproven.
He's unproven. He's not even the starter right now.
Right.
Michael Carter is. And then I don't mind the Mahomes pick in the 5th round, but I just had an issue also with the Lamar Jackson pick in the 7th round because not only did he snipe me of both of those players, but with the Lamar Jackson pick, he could have got a better RB2. So like or picked more depth at wide receiver. After Lamar Jackson, his pick, he could have had Michael Thomas. He could have had Juju. He could have had a Kareem Hunt. He could have had an A.J. Dillon. All running backs that I feel are better than Hall. Even if he kept Hall where he's at, picked him where he's at, he could have had those other players where he could have felt better, in my opinion, about his RB2 situation. You know what I mean? Instead of having a backup quarterback that now he's going to be trying to trade away like all last year. And
it was a risky pick for sure.
So yeah. And when you have an elite quarterback like Mahomes, I feel like you don't really need to take a quarterback 2, especially a high-end one like that early, because then it really messes up with your depth, in my opinion. So that's part of the reason I have him at 8. So, Craig, who's your 8?
I had Funk. P Funk is at 8. So, Brent, we're really close. We're really close on Funk. So Funk actually starts like what I would consider the second echelon of fantasy teams, based on my score.
That's big words.
Yes. So obviously Aaron Rodgers, great.
In a world that only Craig understands.
Yeah, dude. I was using a word on a resume for like 10 years until Kelsey looked at it and she's like, "That's not a word." I'm like, "What?" Still got hired, but whatever. Anyway, I still think I think Derrick Henry is still going to be a top 5 running back. I know you guys preach PPR, but I think he's just a beast. Everyone says, second
I
year
agree.
on a running is when they really come back. I think Henry's a freak. He's not natural. He's on something, dude. So he's going to be fine.
And he gets volume.
Yeah, exactly. I do knock Akers a bit. I don't value him as high. I know they've just won the Super Bowl last year, but as far as fantasy purposes, it's kind of a crowded backfield. So I'm not a big fan of Akers. Keenan Allen can go either way. So I put, when I do Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, I look at them both as one of them's going to be top 10, one of them's going to be top 15. They both could be top 10. So, Jamar Chase again. So I think Jamar Chase regresses. He has the opportunities that he had last year, sure, but like he had a 50-point game at one point. He had a ton of games where he was just slaying it, top, number 1 wide receiver that week. And I don't, if you think T Higgins is going to be coming up and being a top 10 receiver or anything like that, what's his face, the third string guy, Boyd, if they're going to do anything, mix in, it's just a very crowded offense. You like it, but again, I don't think Jamar Chase ends top 5 this year or anything like that. I push him back more towards 10, 15. And Elijah Mitchell, I think he's trash. I think Elijah Mitchell belongs in the RB3 talk. So,
yeah, I got worried for him pretty much right after Jamar Chase.
Yeah. So he has some really big players on the board, but still very close to everyone else. And that's a 63.33 score, boys. 63.33. 10 points different. Second echelon.
So echeloned up.
All right, Brian.
So are we doing we're now on number 8, right?
8. Yeah, 8.
So yeah, talking about like just how close it really truly is in these rankings. It was really hard for me on these next 3 because it was kind of like I could flip them, move them around.
Yeah, that's kind of how I am from like everyone that's up now.
Whereas at least I was able to kind of come up with my top 5 off of my parameters.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, number 8 was Mac. The 2 Bears thing stands out. And then it was just kind of like his 2 running backs, like, because it's just tough for me to love Aaron Jones, where he got him at.
Yeah,
So,
agreed.
Yeah, I mean, he was number 10 though, so he kind of like he had to reach for a person that he wanted, So
Jones could still be really big with how beaten up that offense is. He could. Those 2 running backs, ceiling wise, could be top 10 running backs, both of them. So
yeah. So all right, my 7 is Shane. When I first looked at Shane's thing, I thought he had the worst draft possible from a number 1 pick. But the more I looked at it, I think it was just all the shit talking from the trade, that got me all like, fuck him and stuff. And, his big advantage is going to be McCaffrey and Taylor. And then I think Herbert is a good pick too. So I think he's right with those like 3 players alone, 4 if you include Pittman, which still blows my mind that he has 4 Colts in his lineup, or not in his lineup, but on his team. But those guys would be the bulk of his production. And the rest of his team, I feel like he's not great, but he has okay players, and I think that's what might get him in trouble is choosing the right ones to play each week. You know what I mean? And if McCaffrey or Taylor or Pittman or Herbert, any of those guys have like a down game, or multiple of them have a down game, he's really screwed. Like, I just don't think his team is super strong. That's all. And like I said, it could eat my words just based off those, 4 players that he has. That's why he's projected like almost 140 points. But I just feel like it's those other players that he's going to have to choose between is what might get him in trouble. So, Craig, who's your 7?
7th? is Josh coming in at 63 points even. Woo! This is probably because I can tell you right now, I guarantee you I value Prescott and Fournette and Higgins much less than you.
Mhm.
I love Fournette. Again, depending where you I love Fournette. I just don't think he's going to be, again, I with my ranking system, I love Barkley too. I think Barkley's gonna have a better year than Fournette. I'll just put it at that. I do really like Barkley. Gabe Davis, I think we talked before the stream. He's just kind of unproven. He's in a great situation. He could easily have a top 5 year. So, top 5, top 10 year. You have the best quarterback in the league with Josh Allen. You could pull a lot of, pull a lot of looks with Diggs. The sky's the limit with him. Kelsey, what are you gonna say? Top 2 tight end. Sutton's going to be great. We just don't know how great. So yeah, you came in at a 63, sir. Number 7. Very
Can I
tight.
give you one pushback on T. Higgins?
Yeah, for sure.
So last year, T. Higgins and Chase, they played 14 games together because Higgins missed like 4 games last year.
Yes.
And they were both even. And so like 6 of the games, Higgins outscored or out targeted Chase, and 6 games Chase out targeted him. And then they have 1 game where they were the same. But
kept swapping back and forth. Yep.
yeah, but Chase had more targets per game than Higgins on average, and more catches per game, more receptions per game. And
Right.
So like I just feel like against your argument with Funk too, like I think Chase and Higgins can both be top 10 receivers.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Yeah, that
So
possibility is still there. Again,
and that's
but
why I thought Higgins in the 4th was a great thing because, like I said, especially in the PPR and that high scoring offense, and that was my thing this year was I wanted people in high scoring offenses for the most part.
for sure.
So,
But I mean, just like Jamar Chase, T. Higgins had a couple. Like if you look at his game, he had a couple outliers that really affect where he was placed. Like he had a 43.
a couple, but every
Couple
person's gonna
28.
have that. You can't say a couple. Like Jamar Chase is one thing because he had like every game was an outlier where he had
Well,
like
people who have them, and there's people who have more consistent. Yeah, there are boom and bust players. Like I would say T. Higgins in my
right.
opinion is kind
Well,
of
right.
like
I would say
how
T. Higgins is the consistent
Seattle
one out of him
Seahawks.
and Chase.
He's like what's his face on Seattle when he was younger. Gives me the same.
Lockett.
Yeah, it's like Tyler Lockett, right? Like there's years he's gonna be number 2, and there's years he's like
Yeah.
he's gonna be 20. So like it's a crowd. You want to take that gamble because it's a great offense. I get it. I look at those outliers. I had him last year, so I felt the pain of not wanting to play him over many other receivers, and it
Fair
paid
enough.
off for him. But I just
And that's a factor with some of this stuff too, is if you've been burned by a
I've been
player or not.
yeah, and he was injured in a couple of places I needed him. So I mean, again, he could go
Yeah,
either
and
way.
that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
But I look at him. I place his value more towards that 15 wide receiver 15 range. So
fair enough. All right, Bren, who's your 7?
My 7. This is where Craig fell in for me.
Nice.
I think Craig's strategy of grabbing the running backs, like having that running back core, is always great. I think when you break down this year's, I'm just a little bit more worried with it, right? Because by going with the heavy running back core, you definitely hurt yourself at wide receiver. Like
Right.
DK Metcalf and Scary Terry are both, they could be like really, really subpar. So you're really hoping for heavy, consistent production out of your 3 running backs.
yes.
And if Elliott loses the job, you're in trouble there.
Oh, you're crazy. You guys are both crazy.
If Harris can't run because he has no
Well,
offensive line and they fucking limit him, you're in trouble there.
to
I've
be fair,
also
Craig,
read a
I
lot of
never said he
terrible
was
things
losing
about
his
Kamara.
job.
You guys are crazy. First of all, Jerry Jones loves Ezekiel Elliott. I'm pretty sure he adopted him one time.
Listen, I'm high on Elliott. I'm not trying to shit on you too hard or anything. I'm just telling you my reasoning for the placement of number
No, you're
7
fair.
was that I just didn't feel you were as strong at running back as you were last year.
Well, since I have the platform, let me just give you 2 quick things. I'm just gonna say, Zeke Elliott has never been. I don't think the last 5 years has been under. He's never been under. I'm sorry, above 10. So he's always top 10 running back. You can fact check me on that one. He's an elite guy. But yeah, he's going to regress. He's getting older. It scares me. This is going to
So
be the year.
one pushback to that real quick, Craig, is two things. I think the last like 4 years or maybe 5 years, his yards per game has gone down each
Sure.
year. And you got to think about it too. Like last year, I think he ended up as like running back 6 or something last year. But a couple factors, 7. Okay, but you got to factor into that too. You had Derrick Henry who got injured halfway through the year. You got Christian McCaffrey who wasn't there. To where like that put automatically put.
Point. That's a very good point.
He's still a top 10, but then like I said, he loses those. I think their offensive line is gone. So like that's the thing that's going to hurt him though is not only the offensive line, but because his offensive line is so bad, he's a great pass protector. So they're going to send Pollard out in routes and have him pass protect. I'm not saying that's going to be every single play, obviously, but I'm saying that's where it's going to hurt him, and that's where I don't think he'll be elite. I think he'll just be another RB that might finish in that RB 15 to 20 range, which I guess at your flex isn't bad, but
for a third round pick, if he gets, he's in a different level though. He's a different level of running back. I get what you,
Craig. You're bottom tier echelon at best.
Oh my God.
And then too, I think Waller's a question because with adding Devontae Adams, I mean, I think Waller's just going to be. He's going to be a boomer bust. I don't think he's going to be that consistent player anymore. But anyways,
that's fair. It's a busy backfield. I think I agree. But like DK Metcalf, I'm going to just let you guys know I don't value him very high. I think he's going to end around that top 20 range, but he has potential to go higher. Any offense.
You'll be lucky if he's top 20.
Yeah, I think that's his ceiling.
You'll be lucky if Seattle can throw the ball.
Okay.
But Barber is my 6. And yeah, I mean, let's see where we get to Barber here. Okay. I mean, yeah, I like his first like 3 picks. I'm a little higher on Tyreek, but once again, the Hunter Renfrow, Josh Jacobs, I just don't see both of them succeeding. But I do like that he has like AJ Dillon that he could throw in there, instead of Josh Jacobs or, he has some solid depth, so that's why he's kind of.
Good depth.
Right. I mean, I feel like he's, barring some injuries to other players, like AJ or Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones got hurt. AJ Dillon's a top 5 back, probably, and stuff. So I just feel like he's kind of going to be in the middle all year. He'll have some up weeks, he'll have some down weeks, and I think he's a little more set at wide receiver than running back, but I don't think he's in a bad place at all. But that's why I have him at 6. I just, Josh Allen's Josh Allen, but so Craig, who's your 6?
My 6 was Nate.
Nate
6 at 62.5. Yeah. I mean, he's got Eckler and Chubb. They did me dirty like 2 or 3 years ago. Great running backs. Just, like you said, if everyone's healthy, probably ending back towards the further end of that situation. Brandon Cooks, being a starter, could end top 20. I didn't actually look at his bench. I don't know if he has anybody. I guess he has his 2 receivers from last year that he could plug in there. So, that could help or hurt him. I don't think Schultz is anything special. 49ers could be a plug and play each week, which is great. But yeah, a very middle of the round, second tier team. I think that has, really no holes minus tight end, depending on how you view your players.
Yeah. All right, Bren, who's your 6?
This is where I had you slotted in, my big man, Josh.
All right.
This was your team's solid, but it's very young, and so kind of like Craig was saying, almost like unproven, and so I think you have that potential, especially with your depth, to really be solid. But for now, with my predictions, I've got you at 6.
Yep, and that is totally fair. That's what I was going to say about myself, too, when I get to myself, is my team is either going to be... I feel like I went for it all this year. Like, I'm either going to win it all or probably go to last place.
And then I'm going to leap right into my number 5 because it kind of fit in with where you had Matt, right? Because you had Matt at 6?
Yes.
Yeah, so I have Matt right at 5, and kind of for the same reason as you were kind of talking about. whereas like he's kind of like middle of the road. I think he's gonna have to figure out his best lineup still because of like
Yeah.
his depth and everything. And that's kind of falls with where he was selecting in the draft, right? You should get a lot of depth right there.
Hmm.
But I'm also higher on Tyreek Hill, so definitely will be interesting to see once he finds his best lineup.
Yeah. Craig, who's your 5?
I have Mac, and I knocked him down. So like, I would just, I
Wow,
agree.
you had Mac high then, huh?
Well, he was no, Mac was 5. Mac was 5, but I'm knocking him down. He's gonna. I had him in the.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had 4 echelons, bro. He was in the second tier. He's now in third tier. So,
Top
um,
5?
yeah, no, I mean, 4 tiers, boys. There's 4 tiers. Stick with me
Okay.
here. Max
Yeah,
was in
stay with him.
gets knocked down to third because of the double
The
Bears,
double
but
entendre.
I
Got it.
do
Yeah.
like Juju Smith, but I really like Mooney, so it'd be hard. Like the running back is my issue with Montgomery. So I think Cooper Kupp could easily be a top 5 again this year. Devontae Adams falls off a little bit going to a crowded outfield, just like Darren Waller falls off a little bit. Joe Burrow, again, Super Bowl quarterback. I just don't. As far as fantasy goes, I know everyone loved him at the end of the year last year, but still could hit or miss. So, and we talked about Aaron Jones. I agree with everything you guys said about Aaron Jones. So, yeah, I would put Mac. He's at 5 for me, but I could knock him back to 6 or 7 and push Nate or Josh up. That's fine.
Gotcha.
That's fair enough. So my 4 is Funk. Yeah, I mean, I'm a little higher on some of his players than what you guys are, obviously based on where you guys put him. I agree with Henry. I think Allen in PPR is going to be solid. He's one of those kind of he's going to be a wide receiver too. He doesn't have more upside than that. He's barring injury, he's not going to fall lower
So
than
what about
that.
his tight end? What about his flex? We know about his solid core.
Right. So his tight end, who is his tight end? Irv Smith. I actually think that's a sleeper tight end.
You
And
think he's
so,
a sleeper tight end?
so
Unproven.
if you're gonna kick tight end, you might as well go for it all. And especially Irv Smith, he's at worst the third or the third in line for targets there. And if any, if Adam Thielen hasn't been healthy the last 2 years, so if he goes down, Irv Smith can be the second in line there and stuff. So like I don't necessarily like the Akers pick either. I do like the Elisha Mitchell pick.
You do. You're
I
not
do
worried about
like
his
it.
health.
No, not too. I mean, you can say that about most running backs, honestly. So if
You
he's
could,
healthy,
but
and it's in the 6th round, it's not or 5th round, it's not like it's you know, I would have taken, like I said, that's where I have a problem with Akers in the 3rd round. Is I just don't see him. He hasn't shown anything coming back from that. Jerry Judy, we don't know yet.
right.
But I do like Edmonds. I actually would probably put him as my RB2.
Okay.
And then, like I said, I like his receivers and Allen, Chase, and I think Elisha Moore is a little underrated. His bench is okay. It's not anything but I think his upside with like Henry and Chase and those other ones, I felt like warranted a little higher ranking. You know what I mean?
Solid.
For sure.
So, and like I said, too, tight end, like, yeah, you could just stream tight ends if Herb Smith doesn't work out.
Right.
Cost you a 12th round pick or whatever he took him at. So,
It's not
Craig, who's
horrible.
your 4?
My number 4 was Justin, coming in at the second tier at 57.14. Nothing really much to say that Hall is unproven. Again, doesn't have the starter job yet. He thinks he's going to get it. That's fine. I think Hawkinson's a big play here. I think if he plays all year I'm not big on the Lions, don't get me wrong, but I still think Hawkinson, with what he did last year, if he plays all year, could easily be a top 5 or more tight end.
Yeah, I think getting him in the 8th, though, was a pretty good value, especially when you kind of punted the position a little bit. You know what I mean?
100%. I agree. I think Hawkinson at 8th is a great spot. Waddle's a 50-50. And obviously, I shit on DJ Moore every year, but he always, I've heard, we all hear stats about him, so he is pretty fucking good. So, yeah, all in all, I think he's got a really well-rounded team. I do value Dalvin Cook as still one of the top 5 running backs in my opinion. If he stays healthy and plays all year, the dude's nuts on the fucking field. But yeah,
Right.
the Brees Hall is really throwing a wrench into his ranking, and Waddle. So, respect
IB
your
man.
Prater pick, by the way.
Prater. IB man, who's 4?
For me, this is where I slotted myself.
Nice.
In at
Good
number
man.
No input on that. Just
Why?
as
Yeah,
far
why
as
are you
slot in
4,
my
bud?
foot.
For me, I love my team. But there's just a couple question marks. One would be the RB2 and then the flex. So I don't necessarily love any of my fill-ins if Deontay Johnson can't go. And then Dobbins is obviously that high risk, high reward kind of guy. So
Right.
so just having those two positions where I could potentially struggle, that would be a lot of points missing. So,
Nice.
like Cordell Patterson might fit in right as an RB2 if he does what he did last year, because he was a top 7 running back into week like 14. But again, he's older, so we'll see. And then Damian Harris, he's in a committee back with Stevenson, but Harris did get a lot of the goal line touches. So if the job kind of stays the same, I love my pick for him to kind of fill in if JK's not great. So just a couple question marks that kind of left me at number 4 versus higher up, like in the top 3.
Yep. All right, so my number 3 is where I put myself, and
Sorry.
I know, and like I said too, like I have no
I
qualm
totally
with.
put myself at number 3 too. It's fine.
Right. Well, and I was just gonna say that like I have no qualm with where you guys ranked me either because I definitely know my team is very, like I said, boom or bust, and at this point unproven. Like, but I feel like I have a lot of, I do have a lot of starters. Obviously, like, even my bench, Michael Thomas is a starter. What he is, we don't know. Is he Michael Thomas of old? Is he half that? Is he just a complete bust?
The Julio of
Damian,
last year.
yeah, exactly. Damian Pierce, he's a starter. What
Yep.
type of starter he is, we don't know. Rashad Penny, he's a starter. What type of starter, we don't know. Brandon Ayuk, And then I got the high upside picks of George Pickens, and then I picked Brian Robinson, but I dropped him and picked up Jamison Williams. And then once I put Williams in my slot, I actually took Jahan Dotson because he's been having a rapport with what's his face, Wentz, all through.
Dotson's a solid grab because the kid just
Right.
catches everything.
So I got my last like 3 or 4 picks. I picked rookies basically just in case one of them hits, and if not, I'll
Yeah.
just drop them. But like I said, I got like that's where I feel like I got a lot of depth where hopefully at least one of these people should work out. And yeah, Dak's probably not a great quarterback, but I feel like he's still top 10. Like I don't feel like they're going to be in a lot of games. And like I said, with the offensive line being bad, I feel like they're not going to be able to run the ball, so he's going to have to pass more. And hopefully, now that he's 2 years removed from that ankle injury, maybe he'll actually start running the ball a little more and have some more of that rushing upside that he had before the injury, and stuff. So even last year, he was quarterback 7, even though he was disappointing for Dan. So, but if out of my 3 big receivers, Sutton, Davis, and Higgins, if 2 of those guys hit, I feel like I'm in really good shape,
Yeah.
So that's why I have myself at 3. I'm banking on the upside, but I also understand if someone said I was 8 or 9, like I totally get it. I have no issues with that, and my team is definitely going to take like 3 or 4 weeks to find out what we really are. So Craig, you said you're 3 for yourself.
I did put myself at 3. I finished off the second tier at 55.42. So I got to follow my math. I got to follow my formula. That's why
Follow the evidence.
Yeah,
the formula
follow that
put me
stuff.
at 3. So I'm basically Watson. So I'm right. But yeah, no, nothing crazy. So I mean, I understand the concern with McLaurin and Metcalf. Personally, I understand they have a really shitty situation at quarterback. But with them being on terrible teams, they're more likely going to be down and be forced to throw the ball, whether they can or cannot. And those are freak athletes who can both catch the ball and get PPR points. So, yeah, they're not like the elite of the elite, but they are, in my opinion, positive fantasy situations. I obviously love Elliott more than everybody else. That might bite me in the ass this year.
At least us two, more than just us two. Can't
Sure,
speak for everyone else, but
I did take a risk on Darren Waller, but I still think at the end of the day, with all his opportunity and the position he plays, that his targets will still be very effective and hopefully valuable. So I still put him as a top 4, top 5 tight end. I do
that's
think
fair.
the Saints are a plug and play defense for the most part, and I think, obviously I have a lot of hope for Kamara being a top 5 running back this year. I don't think Najee will be a top 5. I know I said it prior. I would value him more on a top 10 pick, depending on what happens. But Russell Wilson, I think, is one of the. Also, I think he's going to be a top 5 quarterback as well. So obviously, I value my players.
Yeah,
high.
you sniped Wilson from me. That's another reason you're fucking 9.
The way that offense is supposed to just the way that offense is supposed to function this year, I don't see how Russell Wilson falls out of that. He's just going to be forced to chuck it, unless like their offense runs so good that he's just one of those extremely accurate and just 25 points a game and they win because of their run game or because who knows. So
right.
I do put myself at 3. I think the only question mark that I really have is
wide receiver
with DK Metcalf, but I don't think that's going to burn me. So, but
I'm
it might.
just messing with you. All right, B-Man, who's your 3?
All right, now that we're done hearing from Craig's delusional Jew math, I think I'm just going to give you my top 3 to kind of speed this along a little bit. I put Nate at number 3.
Nice.
I just feel like his team is kind of just sheer production. Like
I said his is a sneaky team. His is a
like
sneaky
he can
good
kind of
team.
plug and play there too, and he'll be just fine.
Yeah.
And then like Allen Robinson could be one of those like giant like sleeper guys.
Yeah, he could be at least a wide receiver 2, if not maybe sneak into a wide receiver 1.
Yeah, it could come to the point where like his keeper is actually on his bench eventually.
Right.
Just because that Houston offense might not move the ball that well through the air. But and then 2, I put Shane. Shane dropped. I had him originally in first. I dropped
Just
him
vomited.
in second. He still has like, to me, fantasy is always about the best starting lineup, and he has such a solid top core with Justin Herbert, McCaffrey, Taylor.
Right.
And because he's getting so much just like chunk points, it's kind of like the year before when he had like Kelsey, Taylor, and a couple. I can't remember his other 2 pieces, but he had like a really solid core there. So I just love his team to get a lot of points.
This is going to sound mean, but I'm never afraid of Shane having a best team because he never seems to win when he has all these best teams.
Same, which is why I had no problem throwing him up here. I mean, he does have 4 Colts, which means like you're living and dying right there, brother. But if he manages to have a great year, we'll see.
Right.
And then Justin was actually my number 1, and I'll explain why.
Yeah.
I just love his team when you look at this from a sheer PPR volume standpoint.
Fair.
I think his team's kind of just full of it. I think he'll be fine with the Breece Hall RB2 situation. Like he can literally just plug in Melvin, and I think Melvin will get him his RB2 numbers.
Right.
And then I think Jalen Waddle is going to be great this year. I think Tyreek just helps Jalen, and Jalen's still going to be your underside guy that's catching a lot of high volume. I think he maybe drops a little bit, but I think he's still a great flex play, I guess is the way I would put it.
Right. Too, with me with Justin, I just kind of get the shades of or the vibes of the last couple of years where he hasn't had that running back 2, and that's been like the thing that's killed him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he surely didn't help himself by drafting Lamar. Like,
right.
I know he thought he was being clever, but
and like I said, I'll admit too, like part of his
bench.
ranking for me was I was pissed at him for sniping both Mahomes and Lamar from me. And
Sure.
the 2 rounds.
No, I love his Mahomes pick.
But
yeah. So I love his team overall. I love the Drake London pick, and he's just chilling on the bench for right now. And
yeah, at first I didn't really like that pick, but then the more I thought about it, I was like, that's actually a solid pick. that
Yeah.
London pick.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
a huge fan of the Wilson pick right now, but I get why he did it, But no, I totally agree with you, Bren.
Cool.
So, all right, I'll give my final two then, like Bren said, to speed this up. So at number 2 is Dan, and then at number 1 is Bren, actually.
Nice.
And the reason I went both of you guys, I think I actually like Dan's running backs, but I love his wide receiver depth. And in a PPR league, AJ Brown's his boomer bust guy, and so is Mike Williams, but he also has Godwin. And then I think the Jalen Hurts is a great pick as well. Oh, he also has Justin Jefferson. How did I almost forget about that? Like, that was my favorite player. So, like, that also automatically boosted him up. And, if he can get even if Javante's a little more than what he was last year, like, that's a big pick for him, And then James Conner. If he stays healthy, that's going to be a great pick. That's just his only issue. So I think that might be where he can get in troubles if one of his RBs go down, because as of right now, I mean, you have Ramondre, but it's a Bill Belichick offense. How right now we don't know what he's going to look like, But from a PPR standpoint, I love the wide receivers. I think James Conner is going to be a PPR monster as long as he's healthy, and Javonte has the chance to be the same. And then for you, Brent, it's the same thing. I mean, I just love your receivers a little more than Dan's with Debo. Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of Debo, but where you got him at, I was stunned, honestly. And then I think Lamb's going to have a huge year, especially receptions wise. I disagree with Craig about Pitts. I think Pitts is going to be a monster. It's him in London there. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just him last year, and he was setting wide receiver, or not wide receiver, but tight end records. The only thing against him,
touchdowns. Yeah.
No, he had 1 touchdown. That was it.
I thought it was 2. Okay.
No, he had 1, and it was overseas in London. he didn't have a single touchdown in the U.S.
Yeah.
So I do agree about the J.K. Dobbins thing. But once again, I kind of think Cordero can fit in there if you want to play two Falcons, But like I said, Deontay, I think, is underrated, especially where you got him at and stuff. So I think you have one of the more complete teams, even though you need an RB2. Your other positions are stacked, I feel like. So, and we obviously know what Kyler is. So yeah, it's just I got Dan and you mainly because I love your guys' wide receivers, and in a PPR league, that's huge,
Cool.
So, Craig, who are your final two? 2 and then 1.
Well, the math, the formula.
The Jew math. We're referring to
it. It put Shane at number 2 and Dan at number 1. I'm not going to let that happen. So, Dan is
too late.
And Shane is number 1.
Oh, Dan's 2. Okay.
Yes.
Wow, you just overrode.
I'm overroding the Jew math.
Craig Watson.
I think Brent said you don't win games with your bench. So your starting lineup is extremely important. Shane, if all things go according to plan, which usually they don't, let's be real. But prior to the season starting, you can't argue with the fucking Colossus his team is.
Yeah.
Even, it's the same situation with Waddle, and if DeAndre Hopkins comes back, Brown could still be huge. So I will put Shane at number 1. Number 2 would be Dan. I'm very surprised with how my formula put him so high. But I mean, I love Hurts. Everyone's talking about Hurts. Yep. I mean, I really like Williams a lot. I value him actually a lot higher, especially if something happens with Gordon. Even if not, it's a very lucrative role for Williams in Denver. Connor, I don't really like, but you can't argue with what he can have and what he can do and what he has done last year.
Yep. A lot of touchdowns.
He just has the most controversial players for me. It's like AJ Brown. I didn't want to have to pick him. I don't want to have to gamble on him. But again, if Hurts goes off, AJ Brown will most likely go off too. So yeah, I think having Connor and Hopkins isn't the worst. I think, like you said, he's got really good depth. But as far as starting lineups go, yeah, definitely one of the better starting lineups. If all things play out right, I like his receivers a lot. His receivers are pretty good. His running backs, can't argue with him. And Hurts. If Hurts sucks, that would be terrible. But everyone's saying Philly's going to be elite. Hurts going to be elite. He's one of the few running backs that can move the ball on the ground while still passing. So that puts him in that talk. So
Well, that's the thing about Hurts though, is he's kind of safe because even if he sucks passing the ball, unless he just stops running the ball, he still has that floor because of his rushing ability.
like the same argument with Lamar Jackson, but
yeah, exactly.
It's a better offense this year,
Right.
It looks better. So
yeah, one of the better offensive lines and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get it. So, all right, boys, those are our power rankings, and I think now we're gonna head over to the picks.
Yeah, boy.
All right, boys, let's do the picks, and we're gonna try to spend a little more time on each thing instead of doing like a matchup of the week thing. So, all right, so we'll do me versus Justin. We're pretty much even. My total is 124.7. His is 125.3. So our total comes out to 250. I'm picking myself. I just think my upside players, they're going to hit the upside. I got a lot of juicy matchups with the Bills facing the Rams. T. Higgins against Pittsburgh. That one's a little iffy, but to Cortland Sutton, I think they're going to feast against Seattle. And Kelsey is facing Arizona, which is probably going to be another high-scoring matchup. So I just feel like I got more shootouts that I'm going to benefit from than he does. So, who do you pick, Bren?
I'm gonna go with my rankings, and
Now, fuck
I'm
you.
gonna go with Justin.
Suck a dick.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It's first week, but I like his team, so I'm gonna go with Justin.
All right, Craig, who do you pick?
Yeah, definitely a close one. Are we gonna do the over and unders in this week or
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that after we do this.
Okay.
We do the actual pick.
I know I gave my reasons for teams. This is a close one. I think it does come down to matchups, and I think you got better matchups. I'm gonna give it to you.
Yeah, let's go.
He's got
Ike also went me
some
too.
rough matchups week 1, dude. He's got some defenses he's got to face, but I do obviously like his team.
Yeah, he made a questionable pickup too that I'm not gonna tell him. I'm gonna see if he realizes it. But Ike also picked me. So Bren, fuck you.
Yo, are we picking up? Never mind. Sorry.
I
got.
So now we're gonna do the over under. So you can either pick me over under 124.7, Justin over under 125.3, or our total matchup of 250 over under that. We'll start with Craig. Which one do you pick, Craig?
I think it's gonna go over 250.
Craig over 250. Okay.
Same.
Yo, are we stashing out players in the IR spot already? Is that cool? Is that what we're doing? We just
Why not?
Okay.
If they're on IR, you can use
We're
them.
on IR. You can do that.
The standard has. Is it? Oh, is he IR? It says O. Is it the same thing? Same thing.
Yeah,
Out.
they're out.
O stands for out. Yeah.
Just not
Bren,
injured.
you said you're going over the 250 as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm not gonna pick myself, but I will pick the over as well for the 250. All right, hold on one sec, boys. Sorry. All right, next matchup we are going to do Dan versus Bren. I will let Craig go first on that one.
Let me pull it up. I'm sorry. I got a slower. I'm on a laptop. Bear with me.
Okay.
All right. Danvers Bren. Why don't I? Oh, there he is. Okay. Matchup. All right. Well, fucking laptop takes forever to load. All right. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this was stupid for me to think about, right? Because I just gave my. I think personally, let's look at matchups. Let's look at matchups real quick. Tampa Bay, Jets, Pittsburgh. Yeah, I think Dan. I'm gonna give it to Dan. I think he's got some good matchups for his starting lineup this week. I like Jalen Hurts. I like Philly at Detroit, Denver at Seattle. Those are by the way, that's insane. All these games they're coming out with this first week are gonna be nuts.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah, no kidding.
They got some wild matchups.
Connor at KC, bro. He's got all the primetime shit that's gonna go off. So I like Dan's matchups better.
Yeah, unfortunately, I kind of have to go the
Oh,
same.
fuck you both. Okay. Fuck
Hey,
it.
you
All right.
picked me to lose, all right? Yeah, you picked me to lose.
Yeah,
Brent,
but Craig picked you to win.
That's true.
Wasn't no
That's
double
true.
whammy. That's okay.
That's
Talk
true.
shit about Zeke, bro. Zeke's my man.
Give me your reasoning so I can shut you both down.
No, I mean
It
it's
sticks to
pretty much
Cobb.
the same as Craig. Is his matchups are kind of just juicier. I feel like.
Fine.
Um, but I will
Remember,
say, oh, go ahead.
no, I'm sorry. I was gonna say, remember, Brent, I value like 3 or 4 year players significantly
Extremely
lower
highly.
But
Got
you
you
know
and
what?
yeah.
I'm changing it because I'm gonna go by my rankings too. I have you just ahead of Dan in my
Yeah.
rankings as the number one. I can't pick my number one to lose. Take
Yeah. You
one.
can't pick me to
Take
lose. That's
matchups
what I'm
into
saying.
So
take matchups into consideration.
I'm gonna pick you, Bren. Bren, I'm assuming you're going yourself.
I am, and it's for a very simple reason. You know, we've all been watching Hard Knocks, so we know Detroit is so much better than they're projected.
Or
Right.
And
not.
they're going to
Fair.
easily smash the Eagles. And
Man.
so it brings his point down total down a little bit, and that means I win.
Nice, Bren. What's your total you're picking? You got Dan at over under 128.6, yourself over under 126.9, or the total of 255.5.
I'll go under 255.5.
Ooh, that's because you think Dan's gonna suck.
Yeah.
All right, Craig, what do you think?
I'm gonna do under. I think Brent's gonna go under 126.9.
Brent, what do you gotta say about that?
I want to fight him. I want to fight.
See, because I'm actually going the opposite. I'm going Brent
Brent,
over.
I hope I eat my words and Debo Samuel and CeeDee Lamb are good. I really do. I hope I eat my words.
They're two top fivers. I don't know what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
All right, so Brent, I went over, buddy. I went over
Nice.
for you.
Let's
Okay,
go.
so Mac versus Shane. I'll go first on that one. As much as I want Mac to win, I'm going Shane. He's just got a good team, and like I said, Mac playing the two Bears. I just don't trust that offense enough to produce two high end players at two different positions. So that's one of the main reasons. So yep, going Shane. What
Yeah.
about you, Bren?
Yeah, it's a shame for me as well. Just the matchups. I mean, unfortunately, San Fran against Chicago versus whereas Shane's got all the indie guys going up against Houston. So
Great.
I was just if there was ever a year you wanted Colts on your team, this would be it. I can't hate him for that with having Pittman and Taylor and the defense. Jeez. Yeah, until proven otherwise, I'm gonna put my money on Shane.
Oh, Bren, I didn't say, but Ike chose you for your matchup as well. So that's 3
nice.
for you. And Ike actually chose Mac.
Bunch of pity picks.
Nice.
I kind of,
Mac.
you know what? Oh man, do I want to go for
Oh,
score?
and then I'm
don't know.
gonna project over 136 for Shane.
Over 136 for Shane.
I. Ugh. I will bet. Oh my god, I don't know. I will bet over the total. I'll bet over the entire total, whatever that is.
Okay, yeah, sorry. The total is 259.6.
Yeah, I'll go over that.
Okay. I'm actually going to go under the total of 259.6.
Fair.
I just think either Shane's not going to produce as much as he thinks or Mac. One of them's not going to hit it. And I don't think Shane's team will do that good to make up for anything or vice versa. So, all right. Craig versus Funk. Craig is projected 128.1, Funk 124.2. The total is 252.3. B-Man, where are you going?
Let's see here. Ooh, this one's tough.
Yeah,
Okay.
this one is a tough one.
Okay. Because it's kind of flopped there where it's like it's got the advantage going Craig's running backs, but then it's got the advantage going to the wide receivers for Funk. I'm leaning towards Funk on this one. I think the wide receiver core comes out strong against this weak running back core that Craig's holding on to, dude.
I hope it's not weak, bro. I really hope it's not.
Yeah, I also am going Funk. Because same thing. I'm not a huge fan. Then Zeke is facing Tampa Bay. Last year when he faced Tampa Bay, he put up like 4 points. So, yeah, I think that's going to be a hindrance as well, especially if your wide receiver core doesn't, stack up. So I'm going Funk as well. Assuming you're going yourself, Craig.
Yeah,
Okay. Ike went Craig
that's right, Ike.
as well. I'm gonna go the Craig under 128.1. B-Man, what are you doing?
I'm gonna go the under on the total.
Under on the total. 252.3. All right,
These
what are you
two
doing,
teams, they'll
Craig?
be lucky to break
Yeah,
100 each.
I'd like to take. I'll take the under on the total as well. You better hope Zeke whoops Tampa Bay, Mister. I got Dak Prescott and freaking B-Man as CeeDee Lamb.
What do you mean? I better hope Zeke whoops Tampa Bay. I don't want Zeke to do good because then that means Dak's not doing good, or that
What?
means he's not passing as much. I mean,
You tripping, dog?
okay, get your Jew math out of here.
Echelon.
All right, last one. Nate versus
Top
Barber.
tier echelon was great.
Craig, I'll let you go first on this one. Nate versus Barber. Nate's at 127.2, Barber 126.3, the total 253.5.
Wow. Well, I don't think ET. I don't know if he trusts ETN week 1 over Dylan. If he does, either one of those, it could be a toss up. I have a lot of faith in Evans this year and Tom Brady. I think that's I never even looked at that. I think that's a hell of a stack right there with where I value it.
Evans and Brady.
Yeah, I think that's a hell of a stack. I'm gonna give it, yeah, with his running backs. I think Nate's actually in a lot better position. I'm fucking Jew math, really. I didn't even look at it. I should have just done by feel. I'm gonna give it to Nate. I actually really like those 4 players in general. I think Schultz and Cooks could be serviceable and do what they need to do. I'm on Raw as well, man.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Andrews, I think he was in a situation last year that he won't be in. Still a great tight end, but we'll see what happens. I give it to Nate.
B-Man, who you going?
I'm also going Nate. I think until Matt figures out that starting lineup, like this one to me is not the winning one. So
I guess he
Mhm.
could put Jacobs at RB2 and throw in Thielen or something or Cooper, but I would still
yeah,
give it to Nate.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably just take out. I mean, yeah, maybe do do Dylan and the RB2, but yeah, I would just not have Jacobs there, especially if you're going to keep Renfro in the lineup. I don't mind if you keep one of those Ravens. I just wouldn't play both of them.
Yeah, it's
So that's a clean sweep for Nate because I went Nate as well.
nice.
So B-Man, what are you going for the bet for the total?
ooh.
Yeah, that
Let's
was a tough one.
go. Let's go over the 127 for Nate.
Nice.
I'm gonna go under for Matt Barber.
Under from Barber.
Yeah, I think he's got some issues he needs to figure out. You also beat me like every time last year, so that could be a reason. I don't know.
Yeah, I went over the total. I think both teams are probably going to do better, but I just think Nate's team's gonna edge them out. I think it'll still be close. But like I said, I think both teams will hit that, or it'll be close enough where one will go over by enough to hit the over on the total. So, all right. So we got those down, boys. So last year, I didn't say this, but last year, Bren, you went 34 and 36. So that brings your 2-year total to 61 and 64 in the picks. I went 32 and 38, so I blew last year. But that's how good I was the year before, though. I'm still 68 and 57.
Okay.
And then, Craig, you went 37, 33 last year. The year before, you were only on as a guest. So your overall total is 41 and 34. Respectable. And Ike went 34 and 36. So Craig was the only one over. So let's do better, guys, as a
Yeah,
team.
we gotta do
Let's do
better.
better.
Well,
And
if
Craig,
y'all
Do
would
better at
listen
predicting.
to me. Ah.
good, you
I'll do
listen to
better.
me. So, all right, boys. Anything else before we wrap it up?
No, I think the first one's in the books, boys. This wasn't too bad.
Yes, sir. And we'll also be sure to try and get some guests on this year.
Yes.
We didn't
Yep.
last year, but we're going to try and do that. And, as always, if anybody has any ideas for the podcast, feel free to let us know, and
Shove it
we'll
up your
see if.
ass. I mean, yep. Let
Well,
us
yeah,
know.
we can gently like tell them to fold it up in a piece of paper and just shove it up their ass. Pretty much. So but we'll be nice about it though.
Yeah.
So.
Obviously.
So, but yeah, no, it was like I said, it was great to get back at it. 2 days, we'll have a real game, so we can start talking shit
Hell
and
yeah.
stuff. And I'm super excited.
Same. Talk to you
Damn.
boys soon.
All right, see you, boys.